This is really fucking annoying, dude. I have literally never had this happen. What's up, guys? Today we're going to be doing a valve cover gasket, spark plug tube seals, and spark plugs on this BMW E46. This is a 2005 330i, but this will be similar for any BMW with the inline 6. Let's get to it. Also, if you guys haven't seen the last video where I did the oil pan gasket on this thing, make sure to check that one out. That was a pretty major repair, so if you guys are looking for a how-to video on that or just want to see what it looks like, give it a look. Now we're going to start by removing the air shroud. I already got this one out from the previous repair, but there's just some push pin clips that mounted into the bumper, and then this just pulls out of the housing. Next, we're gonna remove this cabin filter assembly. We're just gonna take this, it's your positive battery cable wire, another harness here. Now we're gonna take our cabin air filter cover loose. Pull that off. Now, this one's actually missing. Oh, something just fell. Yeah, my clip just fell. Whoops. So this one's actually missing all of the mounting bolts. You gotta remove your cabin filter. Now there should be mounting bolts all back here to get this cover off, but I guess this one's missing them. So then that pulls off, set that aside. And now we got more than enough room to work. Next, we're gonna remove these two 10mm bolts. There we go. Now we're going to remove this secondary air injection pump. Just unclip the connector. And we're going to not disconnect this hose, leave that connected. This hooks into a grommet down here. You can just pull that off the grommet and pull this aside like that. And now this will actually hold my fender cover in place too. So that's pretty handy. Now we're going to remove this cover for our spark plugs here. Two 10mm nuts. Remove your oil fill cap. Now, pro tip here, let's make sure to put our fill cap back on so we don't drop anything into the engine. That is not fun. Next, we're gonna remove our ignition coils. These connectors just pull up like that. These are what's known as a swing lock. So you gotta swing them all the way forward to get the connector off. Do the same for all 6 of them. Now, these are a little bit hard to remove sometimes. They do make special tools for these. That one was actually pretty easy. Now, what I'm doing here to remove them, I'm twisting side to side and pulling up at the same time. You don't want to pull up on only the connector. I'm kind of grabbing the connector and the base of the coil here, twisting and pulling. Now, these can be very difficult to remove. For some reason, these are not giving me a hard time. Usually, that one was pretty hard, but usually they're a lot harder to remove than this. Yeah, that one took some force. That one came off easy. All right, next we're gonna remove our ground bolts here. These are 8mm. Take that out of the way, out of the way. Now we're gonna remove our O2 sensor harness out of the way. There's a guide for it back here, and then you got some metal clips down here. They basically just pull off of the cover. And then that's loose. Now we also have to move our coil harness out of the way. So there's some clips down here. So once you get one of the clips, you can pretty much rotate the thing all the way around. Get it out of the way. This you can set aside over there. Now we're gonna remove our bolts for the valve cover. Watch these washers because they will fall off and go rolling. That one in the back corner is a little bit difficult to get to. Probably can't use a power ratchet for it unless you have a swivel on it, but I'm not even gonna bother with the swivel. I am just going to do this one by hand. I just got a 1/4 inch socket here. I'm gonna come back here, And yeah, I can get on it pretty easy. There we go. Trying to get these boots out without breaking them. So I'm gonna spray a little bit of WD-40 down in them because they're not wanting to come off too easy. It should just pull right off, but I think they might be stuck to the plugs a little bit. Now to help that WD-40 get down in there, I'm gonna take a long flat head, kind of move the boot just to let that WD-40 fall down. Hopefully break this seal that these boots have on the plugs. Trying to work around the plug, trying to make sure I break this seal that this boot has that is holding it onto this plug. This is really fucking annoying, dude. I have literally never had this happen. There we go. Okay, so that one just pulled out. So the reason why I was trying to get those off with the valve cover off was because there's about this much, probably about an inch, inch and a half, more clearance with the valve cover removed to get on those boots. So if that happens to you, just take the valve cover off so you have some more room and then get down in there. Now we can work on removing our gasket. Around the cam seals, it will be RTV'd in place because you're supposed to put some RTV in those areas. Valve cover gasket is out. Now we're gonna, with a straight razor, scrape off this RTV from the cover here in these areas. And try not to let this fall down into the engine. Also try not to cut yourself. Be very careful with the razor. You don't want to gouge the aluminum here. If you're careful, you'll be alright. Around the back here, it's pretty fun because you do not have a lot of room to see what you're doing, but it is also doable. Alright, so GoPro battery died. No more head mount for right now, but what I'm gonna do now is place RTV in those areas we talked about earlier. That's in the half moon areas here. You're gonna go down in the half moon and then up on the edge, probably about like 1 or 2 millimeters. Nothing major. It's a very thin coat is all you need. Now where the timing cover meets the cylinder head, you're gonna put a dot in that area too, only where the gasket is gonna sit. Make sure to do the rear half moons as well. Now recheck those areas you just RTV'd, make sure there's nothing oozing out into the engine like I see right here. You don't want RTV rolling around your oil system. And we got our valve cover here, and we're gonna carefully try and slide this into place without knocking the gasket out of place. The gasket does have some ridges to help hold it, but those don't always work too well. We got our harness to deal with and stuff, so be wary of that. Here we go. Luckily, this one, you know, these 6 cylinders are a lot easier than the V8s. The V8s kind of suck. Now we're pretty much in place here, but you want to make sure that your valve cover didn't pop out anywhere before you go setting this down all the way. So just look at it where you can and feel it where you can, because you don't want to pinch this gasket. Also make sure tube seals are still in place. This gasket getting pinched, you don't want to do this twice. Especially the rear half moons, make sure those are still in place. Okay, you should be able to feel it pretty easy. And then the top you can pretty much just see. Slip down in. If you can't tell, just put your finger back there and tuck the gasket in place. Same with the tube seals, go around each of them. Make sure you can feel the gasket. Make sure it's all the way in. Okay, we look all good, so we're gonna set this down in place. Give it a few presses. Alright, now we can grab our hardware and start tightening it down. Don't forget to clip your PCV hose in place. You should hear it clip when it's fully seated. Now we're not gonna tighten these down fully yet because we want to do them all. We want the valve cover to locate itself because it does have a little bit of wiggle room. So the valve cover can move like up and down, left and right a little bit. So we want to make sure we got all of our nuts in place before we go tightening it down all the way. Make sure you put the ones that have studs on the top in the center of the valve cover, because for your vanity cover and for the ground wires that we removed earlier. Now we can start tightening them all down. Now you want to do them somewhat evenly. You don't want to do like one whole side and then the other whole side, because you'll risk cracking the valve cover. So what I'm doing now is I'm not seating them all the way. I'm just kind of drawing them in. Now we're gonna do our spark plugs. Start to loosen them by hand because we don't want to damage the threads and we don't want a spark plug breaking off on us. See, this one's kind of iffy. Yeah, that one's feeling weird, so just gonna spray a dash of WD-40 down in the holes. This one's still feeling weird. Just working it back and forth. I'm assuming that these have not been changed in a while. This one is feeling really weird. If they start to feel tight when you loosen them, just work them back and forth. Make sure that WD-40 gets down in there. This one's starting to feel better. There we go. Okay, we're in the clear. Last one, yeah, that one's feeling tight too. I think these cylinders 5 and 6 haven't been changed in a while, it seems like. The rest of them were pretty good. Yeah, it's feeling tight. It's going back and forth. Oh, I do not like the feel of that. Getting to a spot and getting tight. Spray a little bit more WD-40 down in there. You really do not want to break a spark plug off, especially in cylinder 6. There we go. Okay. There we go. Alright, we're in the clear. Now that we've checked each spark plug and got them all loose, now we can use a power tool. Now they're all loose. Take a magnet, pick them up. Just a note, these are a plug that you do not need to gap. If you do have a plug that you need to gap, make sure to check the gap. We're going to start them all by hand and get them in about halfway. Make sure you're not cross-threading or anything. Once you get them in by hand, you can use a power tool. Just be very careful, be very slow. You're not tightening it all the way down, you're just feeding it with a power tool. Breaking out the torque wrench for these bad boys. Torque spec is 22 foot-pounds. Now the type of plugs that these are, they have a crush washer on them. So you're gonna feel them get tight at first, then they're gonna get loose, then they're gonna get tight again. Completely normal. Because you're feeling that crush washer crush down and seal. Make sure to route your harness back in place for the oxygen sensors. Alright guys, got it all back together. Cleaned it all up. Go up under here. Looking good. I was filming the reinstallation, which I thought I was filming a reinstallation, but in reality, the GoPro was only filming audio and not the video, so sorry about the GoPro crashing. The rest of the reinstallation steps are pretty simple. I think I got most of it covered in this video, so that's all I have for this one. Thank you all for watching. Please like, comment, subscribe. If you guys have any video topics you would like to see in the future, please let me know down in the comments. Catch you guys next time.